Today, EcoVille is in Uganda, where we meet a young man called Buyinza Morgan, who is using organic farming to change the lives of people in his community. He is the founder of a non-governmental organization called the Flourishing Community Foundation, which established a 2-acre organic garden where they planted fruits and vegetables that have managed to sustain members of the community, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, when most people have lost their jobs and are struggling to look after their families. More than 120 people are benefiting from the produce. Welcome to EcoVille, Buyinza.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
I'm glad to be hosted here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So please tell us about yourself and what made you start this organization.
Yes, my name is Buyinza Morgan, and I'm from Uganda in the east of Africa. I'm the founder of the Flourishing Community Organization, and my organization has set up community gardens where we grow foods. We encourage people to grow foods communally, and we survive on the harvests, and we share the surplus, and we move on. I'm a chemistry, biology, and science teacher, and a medical student at Makerere University in Uganda. What inspired me to start up organic farming is actually the alarming situation in my country. I will start my country and Africa at large. The issue of hunger. In my country, 71% of the population cannot have 3 meals a day, and that's something very, very terrible. We need to do something. Majority of the families cannot earn $1 a day, so we are living below the poverty line, and food is very scarce, and it's scarcity, it's expensive, and so that's been a very serious challenge. And when I talk about hunger is one of the biggest problems in Africa, and besides my country, Uganda, hunger is the biggest problem in the northern parts, northeastern, and people are starving, people are dying of hunger, and even the other parts down here, and so we have to do something. And besides the hunger, another thing that inspired me to start up organic farming is the hidden hunger. I normally talk about the hidden hunger when I talk to people. This is something I found out is on my personal discovery, is a hidden hunger. Most of the countrymen and in Africa and other parts of the world are hungry, but they don't know. And that's something terrible. Being sick and you don't know you're sick, it's dangerous. And so this is what happens. People go to their dining places and they eat and they leave the places thinking they are satisfied, and the bellies are big, but in actual senses they are very hungry inside them. I call that hidden hunger. Most of the foods in the market here are not nutritious at all. Another thing that inspired me was, of course, the hunger that was in my community, because I started this project at my community and my home village. We have a strange wetland in my home village, and land for agriculture is so limited, and not majority of people can have land to grow the food. And that's been a very big challenge. People who have the food, they would again suffer, because people who have the food would only survive by stealing food from those people who had it. And so there was a lot of starvation, a lot of hunger cases, a lot of diseases, malnutrition, and that's why we had to come up. We set up some land for agriculture, the 2 acres of land in a village. And so we could come together as a community and we do the work, we do the gardening, we use the small resources we have. And so we could share, and we are sharing the harvest of selling the surplus, and the money can help us do some other things. So that's my biggest inspiration, Nancy.
So do you think organic farming is the solution to food security in Africa?
Yes, and actually it's not just the solution, but it's what we have to do. Because you see, Africa, we are very lucky because the biggest percentage of our land is fertile. Have you discovered that, Nancy? Yes, the biggest part of our land is fertile, and we can really go organic, because make up these organic gardens, first and foremost, is cheap. And so we just need to find out the measures we need to do, and gardens, and that can be something. I really think that organic farming is the one way Africa should go, and is some other hopeful thing we can go, because we don't have the capacity to cure the cancers. We don't have. So we need to do something. We need to keep healthy.
And the other distinct thing about what you're doing is in sense of community, where you come together and work as a community in order to work in your gardens and feed your community. Do you think it's important for communities to come together and help each other?
We have a saying in my culture, and we say that agali awamu gegaluma ennyama. Okay, I will try to translate that. Like the combined teeth can eat the meat. What I mean is that if something is very hard, we cannot do it individually. Actually, I want you to look at this thing. There's nothing successful and nothing can be strong when it's held by one man. Really coming together as communities is one way how Africa we can grow. We need to work together as Africa. We need to work together as communities in Africa. And because when we work together, we share a lot of advice, a lot of ideas, and those are the ideas that are building us. So I've been sending you some of the pictures of the chicken house we are building at the farm. And because people are many, so the work is very fast. People come together, the work is very fast, and so if we can really come together as communities, because in our communities we have people of different talents. We have those people who are, we have different kinds of people in the community with different talents, and so we have so many talents, and if we can come together with them, and we shall really overcome all the challenges we have as Africa.
Okay, so I also understand that you're also holding workshops to teach members of your community about organic farming. How many workshops have you held so far? And are the people now adopting organic farming? And why is it important to adopt organic farming?
This year has been a challenge. This year has been challenging, and we have not been able to set up any workshop about organic farming this year because of the pandemic. And as I've told you, the infection rate has been very high in my country, and we couldn't plan. We couldn't plan next year, gathering a lot of people, and so this year has been challenging. But last year's and some of the previous time, we have been making every month. We call the people we gather. We talk about something. We talk about the plants. For example, we've been talking about a specific plant, like especially the cash plants. We come up. We get someone from town who is very good at that, and they can teach us how to create organic. Yes, of course, some people have adopted. I've seen people trying to adopt, but again, there's still some more need. Because the first thing we need to change is changing the people's mindset and thinking. As per now, people think nothing can happen without the synthetic fertilizers and so we need to first change the way we think, because there are things that have just come here and we can live without them. Yes, some people are trying to adopt, but again, the biggest number of the people is not yet adopted to organic farming.
Okay, so why do you think organic farming is important, especially for the environment?
Organic farming is important, especially for the environment. It's scientifically, and I can prove it physically. The synthetic materials, for example, when you add, for example, the herbicides to the soil, and so what they will do is this: they will not only stop on maybe killing the weeds or what, but they're going to go into the soil, and so they're going to change the chemical components, the chemical setup of the soil. And so after that, the chemical setup of the soil is changed. It means the soil is not in its normal state. It means the soil, nutrients that are not made up to be in the soil have been added to the soil. And so what's going to occur is this: the soil is going to lose its capacity, its efficiency, and after some few seasons, you're going to see that the soil cannot bring up the food it used to bring. And so I've seen so many people like, the soil is getting infertile. But the soil is getting infertile because of one thing, because of those synthetic products we are adding. Now look at the thing. We have a lot of water pollution now. A lot of water pollution, and people are asking, a lot of fish are dying. You see, the mistake made in the garden is now affecting the lakes. The fish are dying. Again, the trees won't grow. We won't receive rain, and so this environment is something that the environment is connected. You see, the trees have an impact on the rain. The waters, the lakes have an impact on the rain, and so if we use the synthetic products on maybe the garden, so they have an effect on all other components of the environment. And so rather, organic methods they have no effect on the environment rather than they conserve.
So I want to go back to the 2 acre garden that you started as an organization. You know, with farmers, they always complain that organic farming may not get as big of a yield if I don't use synthetic material. So I want you to tell us what has the yield been like using organic methods in your own garden, and how many people are benefiting from that garden?
Yes, actually, we had 120 people benefiting on our garden just before the pandemic. That's the registered number of people. But after the pandemic, the breakup of the pandemic, we've got the biggest challenge we've never got, because we have received a lot of food requests, and because even the people that could provide themselves with some food haven't been able to do that. And so we have been receiving several food requests out exceeding that number of 120 people. It's been a great period of challenge. Even those that could help, actually, they also needed help. And so the number of people beneficiaries have a little bit raised. Again, what I want to say is that organic farming can bring us as much yield, even more yield than synthetic farming.
Okay. Do you think organic farming is a solution to sustainable agriculture in Africa?
Yes, it is. It is. As I told you, the main purpose of growing food is feeding people with healthier, nutritious food. Then what's the purpose of growing food that's going to make people sick? What's the purpose of growing food is going to cause some other problems? You know, one day I asked some other people in some summit question that, you know, sometimes what we call solutions are also problems. Have you really identified that? People have come up with GMOs now. We have they call the GMOs the solutions. By natural senses, they are the biggest problems. We come up with a new brands of foods. This grows very big. This grows very fast. And at the end of the day, we are getting medical challenges. The environment is getting spoiled. And when we came here on the earth, one of the purposes why we are living on this planet is to protect it, is to keep it. And so, Nosi, I want you to take questions of this rather. The things that are coming up, what we are getting as solutions, at the same time, they're going to be the biggest problems. Not even they're going to be, they're already the biggest problems now. We need to go organic, and I think, and I believe that organic farming is the only sustainable kind of agriculture we can have here in Africa.
How do you think Africa can contribute to world food security and the fight against climate change?
Okay, yeah. Africa can contribute to the world food security, and of course, starting from here, starting from my country, starting from my community, and starting from where you are, from your community. That's how we can contribute internationally. We started at my village community, and so after being able to create an impact there, we had to set up an NGO, an organization that now operates within the whole country of Uganda. And we're trying as much as we can to see that we can really reach the areas that need this service. And so I think if we can involve the countrymen of Africa, like Nosi, you're understanding the thing of environment and organic farming. Mm-hmm. So when you start there, as I start there, as someone starts in some other place, and so we can combine our hands together, we can share ideas, and we can grow this. If we shine, then the whole world will shine.
And how do you think we can contribute to the fight against climate change as Africa?
Yes, I greatly accept, and I believe that we can contribute to the fight against climate change. And that's something we really have to do. I think the first step I'll talk in my field of agriculture, we should try as much as we can to share what we know about organic farming with most of the farmers in our countries. And so, because if we go organic, we are preserving and we are conserving the environment. And so I just hope that all farmers in my country can do organic farming. I tell you, the environment will be safe here. And if the same case happens that side and just all over Africa, then we can have our environment secured. Yes, and I think we need to pass over this information to most of the people that we are running out of time. The environment is getting spoiled. Everything is actually getting out of our hands, you know.
Do you think the government in your country is doing enough to teach people about organic farming and climate change? And do you think that Africa is doing enough actually to contribute to the fight against climate change?
Well, thank you, Nancy. That's a good question. One of the biggest problems we have as Africa is corruption and embezzlement. My government has set up strategies. It has tried. Actually, they have set up ways, and they fund those ways. But the worst of the worst is that the things cannot be put in practice because of embezzlement of funds. You see, the UN, they have tried to invest money in these things of climate change, but again, the challenge becomes with the embezzlement, the funds pass through, they can't be directed to where they have to be, The biggest percentage is kept with them. And that's been a very big challenge. Yes, at some point, the government has not done the best it could be, because I believe if you sponsor something, the next step is to monitor. You see, has it been efficient and why? And so that's why I came in to blame the government. It has not done its best. Actually, all our governments in Africa, they have not done their best in the monitoring and the evaluation of their support towards the environment change.
That's an issue that's there, and it's an issue that all African countries need to deal with. And lastly, what are your future plans?
Yeah, sure. We have a lot of great plans, and I'm so happy to join you guys on this journey of conserving and preserving the environment, of promoting organic farming. And so only this gives me a courage that maybe this message can be shared with someone else, and they can be inspired and they can be thrown back to the best ways of growing the food. And we are planning to set up some food banks starting from Kampala. And these food banks, they are going to be filled with nutritious foods, organic grown food. Another thing we're trying to do is we're trying to set up, we call them demonstration gardens, because I believe so many farmers out there, they don't know what to do, and of course they will be interested in knowing what to do. And I think if we can set up demonstration gardens, we can have people come to the gardens and they can learn something, from our gardens, the demonstration gardens, and we can help them, we can teach them how and what they have to do, and when they go out there, they can practice that and share it with some other people in their areas.
Thank you, Buyinza, for inviting us to Uganda. Thank you for allowing us to tell your story. We hope you inspire others to be of service to their communities. Thank you again to all our listeners. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow us on all our social media pages. And our handle is EcoVille ZW on all platforms. Join us next week for another episode. I'm your host, Nonsigelelo Kwaka.